Welcome back to the Oh So Spurs podcast, specifically the global contingent. We are here because I don't think that there's such thing as talking about the game too much. I'm here with my international brother Joe. How you doing, Joe?
I can hit you with a "good day, mate," because it's the time to do it if I'm going to do it anytime. So, how are you, Deej?
I'm doing good. I think this is the first time we've ever done one at like a time that's normal for you,
Yeah,
because
2
it's
p.m.
either during my day or during the day for the British people. Um, But no, now it's daytime for you, night for me, and
Mhm.
everyone in England's asleep, I think. I hope.
How's uh how's the energy levels and the it all feeling after what probably about 24 hours now? I don't know how much time has passed since it finished. It's a weird feeling. I've barely slept. That's probably because I'm sick. So if I sound weird, I apologize. But yeah, how you still feeling about it? Still on cloud nine, top of the
Oh, yeah,
world?
absolutely. It's been what is it? Just like 20, 30 hours, who cares? But yeah, no, it's just been incredible. I can't it doesn't still doesn't feel real, I guess. Like, I don't know. It's been basically since I've can remember being a fan. It's just been the whole Tottenham never win trophies. It's just been a thing for as long as I can remember, and it's always frustrating because 'cause I'm like, there's so much more to evaluating how good a season is than, winning a trophy because those are inherently just there's lots of variables behind it, and you can't I think it's weird to judge a season off of trophies. And now that we won one, I'm like, "Yeah, no, we should judge our season based on the trophies." If you don't win a trophy, your season's been shit. Not gonna say which other seasons I'm talking about, but yeah, it's been fantastic. It feels good to get that kind of that off our back, I guess, because I feel like in finals past, it's kind of been I'm thinking back to the Carabao Cup final, in where we sacked Jose, like, the day before, basically, and you could kind of tell that it the players had the kind of the idea of, like, what Tottenham was and, like, according to the media, you could tell that that was kind of weighing on them, and we weren't able to pull through, and then to I think that in this game, I think we saw a Tottenham that was kind of unburdened from that kind of notion. I
Hmm.
think credit to Ange. I think he got the players up fantastically. I think he set up very well for the players he had available. I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit more later because there's been a bit of discourse I've seen about how this is like the worst final ever, and I'm not sure I agree with that, especially not because we won. Um,
Yeah,
but
the best final ever done. What are they
exactly,
talking
it's the
about?
best final I can remember. But yeah, I think that this it's just so good to get that kind of moniker off of Tottenham because and hopefully we can kick on from there.
Yeah, I'm finding myself like I'll be driving and listen to some other content because basically all I've done for the last what we're saying 30 hours is just soak up every single moment I can. I guess that's the part of being on the other side of the world to where it's happening is that you live vicariously through people that are there. And I was saying to my wife that it's one of those ones is what other thing in the world does bring pure joy? Like you can have so much joy from watching someone else have so much joy. Like, there's nothing else in the world that does it like sports does. Like you can't. I'm sitting there watching people have parties in a place people I don't know, and I'm like, yeah, get it, have fun. And like, if I saw that normally, just a random person, I'd be like, well, not interested. But I just don't know what it is about sport. But I'll be driving around, listening to content, and my mind will just go, we did it, and like my eyes will well up. Like I just can't believe it. Like I saw last time it happened was just seeing Brennan Johnson running away, sliding and hurting
Man,
his
he
knees.
did
Yeah.
beef the celebration a little bit.
Yeah. But it's just like it's just we did it. He did it. He did it. Like I don't really care whether he got the touch or not. I kind of think he probably did. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt just due to circumstances anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, there's one angle from behind that kind of looks like he does, but yeah, we did it. Like it's everything just feels so much different now. It's such a weird thing to happen, and the journey that we've been on this year, but not only just this year, the 17 years of that, there's nothing in life is free. So we paid the price as fans, and the players did, and Ange, what he got said about him this year, and the club, they paid the price, they sacrificed, and the reward was it there. It was like this whole season to me feels like it was a cleaning of the slate. Like all that stuff is gone now from the past. All the stuff about the Spursy, whatever, or we can't win trophies. Feels like because we went to such low depths in the Premier League to win this, that was what we needed to sort of sage the room, I guess. It
Or
could just be me, just
Pochettino,
yeah,
the lone bull
yeah,
in the room. Yeah.
yeah. I like I'm romantically gonna be just trying to find every sort of positive I can, but I don't know. What do you feel like? Do you feel like that could be the possibility that we've cleansed the club, or the club's cleansed itself? Not
I
us, not me.
It does feel like that could be the case. Well, I guess time will only tell, right? Like
For
we
sure.
could go another 40 years before winning another European trophy. I'd hope it doesn't last that long, but stranger things have happened.
Mm.
To like the Chicago Cubs went like 106 years between World Series. I'm not trying to go that long. I'd prefer if we could avoid that one. But yeah, I think it's like the only way to kind of show that we're a serious club is to win a serious trophy. And
And this is
that's
one.
something that despite the best teams we've had in recent memory, despite them being probably better than this one, were unable to do. Like the teams under Pochettino, they were always great and they were so fun to watch. And I mean, I will always look back at those teams fondly, but they didn't win anything. Like they never had that moment. They never had the thing that was like the defining moment of that time period. And now this team, which for whatever you want to say about them, whatever you want to say about the manager, whatever you want to say about the players, they have that trophy. They have that moment. And like I think and hopefully because we've got so many like young players that have already learned how to win, if you believe in that, if you ascribe to that, which I don't completely. Like I understand, like I don't think that like obviously I didn't think that United were gonna win because United knew how to win and then
Mm.
they didn't win. But I do think that there is an element of an element of like mentality that you get after winning a final. It's like, oh, that's not so hard. We are like, and I think that you could see that through how Romero handled this game. And well,
Mm.
once we get into talking about the game, because I don't
Yeah.
think you've had a chance to get on and talk about the game yet. I've already talked about it a
No,
couple of
not
times,
yet.
so I'll let you say your piece on it. But like, I think he was just the perfect captain for
Absolutely.
today.
Mm.
He was from minute one. Fernandez tried to do the thing with the coin flip where they made us switch sides, and then Romero took the team and did the team talk in front of the Tottenham fans all the way on the other side of the pitch. So he's already under Fernandez's skin. And then from minute one, he was under Maguire's skin. He made Hoyland look like a player that belonged to Tamworth, which and like he was
Yes.
just he didn't put a foot wrong. I think, basically the entire game. I was a little bit worried when he pulled, I think, Xerxes down randomly in, like, the 70th minute, but, that's part of his game, and I've
Yeah.
said it for a while, that's just what you get with Romero, and that's I mean, it worked.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, how do you think? Do you think that this is kind of a clean slate moment?
I do. I do. I think it's a chance to act for the club now. I think now we have a chance to act. I think you're right with just because you've won a final before or you've played in them doesn't mean you just automatically win the next one. I mean, look how how it's aged with things like Jamie Carragher has said, being like, "There's no way Spurs beat United in a final." That doesn't. But what it does do is that the players now know what it takes to win a final. So the battles they have to go through and sacrificing and that kind of stuff, they've got that knowledge. So I think that's what it does do, but also the rewards of this as well, with what it can do the next year and year after, is immense. And the club does have a chance now. And I do believe that this was, I mean, winning this trophy probably wasn't in the club's plans because you can't really plan to win a trophy. But I do think that the club was sort of buying all those young players, the start of last year or the middle of last year was to set that base. And now we really have that opportunity to go next level because we can now push the boat out to everyone. So will we do it? Who knows? I'm going to stick with we are going to do it until I see otherwise, but I will be disappointed if we don't. But disappointment can't take hold of me right now because of it's just crazy. It's just crazy, and I'm just so happy for everyone that's just supports the club or involved with the club just gets to enjoy this moment. Just for I don't know when's it going to end. When's the feeling going to end? Does it last a year? None of us know.
It's the perfect thing with winning a trophy like this at this point in the season. Because I'm sorry if you become miserable if we lose to Brighton at the weekend. Football's not for you. I think, and so it's like I think Jim said it on the last time the last podcast I was on, where normally a lot of times this season we've had a Tottenham sort of like an untimely loss right before an international break, and then you have to sit with that loss for like the next 2 weeks, and it just sucks. And you just think about it, and you're like, it's just weighing on you. We get to experience the opposite of that for an entire summer. Because we'll have no games for like 3 months. We'll have nothing. The only thing we'll have is transfer rumors. And if you're going to let transfer rumors let you down after this summer, again, football might not be for you. And also, we have Champions League football. We are a club that has just won a trophy. We are a desirable location. Again, like the amount that the players that we can swing for this summer because of the position we've put ourselves in, and the amount of based on the amount whatever. I don't know. It's just we're a desirable location. We can spend more. We can buy more. Players want to come to us more. It's just going to make this summer so much better in more ways than being able to parade the trophy around, being able to argue on football Twitter. Which, if you're watching this, don't do that. That's bad for your mental. But if you are, and some Arsenal fan is talking to you, just say, "We're our trophy," And like we that's not something that we've been able to say before. And I know I've seen plenty of people on Twitter talking about it, but we can say that all summer. We can say that all next season. It'll last for a while, and it's just a fantastic feeling.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this summer. What it means is that we can also kind of dream as well about some players that can come in, because imagine being a French player. You can speak to Oda Bertel, any country you can think of. We have a very diverse sort of group of guys from different countries in the team. And they ask what's it's like, the culture of the team there. And they see videos of what the players are like together at the moment and how close they all are, as if you wouldn't want to be involved in that. I mean, I'm biased because I'm a Spurs fan. But like, yeah, it's so good.
You want that or a light bulb speech?
A light bulb speech.
Don't worry about it. I'm too deep in the weeds of 2022. Never mind. We don't need to talk about that other team.
The Stonecutters Creed speech hits really hard now.
It does,
especially the timing of the number of games and what the number he said was. That's not such a good coincidence that it's I mean,
crazy.
Maybe he knew it, but
yeah, but I don't remember when he that's just maybe he knew, maybe, but I don't know. I'm down to say that he knew because it kind of increases his mythos at the moment. But what a crazy! I mean, all these kind of quotables that you just know that everyone at Sky, everyone that supported a rival club, everyone who does a podcast that isn't focused on Tottenham was ready to put them everywhere after what they assumed would happen is that Tottenham would be Tottenham because that's all they know what Tottenham to do, and then United would win because United I guess if United make a final, they're destined to win. They're guaranteed to win. There's nothing else that could possibly happen. And they're ready to throw these things out and said, "What about now? What happened now? Hopefully that happens in your next club." And now they're just some of the coldest tweets of all time, some of the coldest quotes of all time. And I've seen probably 50,000 different renditions of these quotes in my feed in the last 24 hours, and I need to see 50,000 more.
I can't wait, and I really hope they release the pre-game speech. That would be like hook me up to that, because I mean, I doubt they will, because there was someone mentioned, maybe Vic mentioned that they did a lot of family-based stuff around it, so maybe they'll just keep that in-house, which is fair if it's family-related things. But that speech he did for Australia about when you're going out to sort of battle and your family and stuff like that, I feel that something similar has got to have been said. But just to be able to have the leadership skills of Postecoglou to be able to keep the group together, and even like things like Romero and Van de Ven just not playing in the league, just this is it, we're going to go win this trophy. That there was so much force in that direction of us winning. I mean, I said in our prediction before the game, I said 1-0 and it'd be cagey, and it was. But I felt the whole time we were going to win, and I felt before the game we were going to win. It felt like Ange always wins something in his second season. And I want to know what he does in his third year. Can someone give me the stats in his third year? Because if it's always a treble, then look out.
Look out. If we win the treble next season, then and we need to name it the Ange Postecoglou Stadium, and we need to rename it to like the Tottenham Kangaroos or something like that. I don't know. That would I don't know. I don't want to dream too much.
Take a step backwards, mate.
Let's just enjoy the present and not worry too much about the future, except for later when we talk about what we might need to do with transfers. I do want to talk about that a little bit because, like I said,
I do.
Champions League football, we get to go a little bit bigger than we thought we were.
Mm-hmm. Can you put Freddie Alexander's comment up?
Shout out to him for getting the light bulb speech reference, by the way.
Is it about Arsenal?
Yes. Yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about now. It's clicked back.
Yep.
I don't know what his contract is, but imagine I think Jim said something about all the guys.
Was an option for a club option for a fourth, is what I remember.
Yeah, I can't see a world where it's for people that are beating around the bush with, well, will he be here next year? We'll see what Daniel Levy does. He does. If he was going to pull the trigger, he would have pulled the trigger 8 months ago. To me, it would be a crazy decision. Like people agree with me, but may disagree with me. But what does it say to the next manager that comes in that, you might do something that no one else done before or in nearly 20 years, but that means nothing. We'll just move you on, whatever. And like the not playing Romero Van de Ven in the league, for example, from basically the start of 2025 is obviously the reason why we didn't do too well, and we haven't been doing too well in the league. And then before that was a huge injury crisis. And even before that, when the injury crisis was happening with people like Lucas Bergvall, it took him 6 months to get to the level that he got to. So even through that time period of injury, he wasn't at his peak still. So there was all that kind of stuff. Archie Gray playing in defense, what he did. I mean, like imagine how good Bergvall's going to be next year after a full. Did you see his and Archie's post-match little press conference? And Archie said, "Oh, there's still so much more we've got to do." And that, I got so jacked up on that.
I think I've seen probably everything every player has said every minute since full time.
I'm scrolling through me like, seen it. I'll watch it again. Seen it. Oh, something new.
Yeah. I was gonna say I do seen it, watch it again, seen it, watch it again, seen it, watch it again, seen it, watch it again. It's I think I've seen probably like 4,000 different videos, or 4,000 different posts of maybe 3 or 4 videos of Sonny like crying and walking around the stadium. It gets me like every time.
When he fell to his knees when that final whistle went. It's so good with these moments when you have like a wide angle and it's on Sonny, but you see players in the background. Like Jed's reaction in that video is great. There's even a video going around of Romero just absolutely wasted. In the background, Bentancur's looking at 2 drinks, being like,
I'll just get here. Yeah. What's your favorite piece of content you've seen? What's your favorite video?
I was going to say, this will tie it up for it because I want to know not who the man of the match of the game was, who the post-game man of the match has been. And for me, it's been Biss. I think he's been hilarious.
I think
and him on the bus, the song they listened to, there's like a French song. It's like something about Champions League. I've just been listening to that song on repeat. I've just been trying to join in the dancing with him. But yeah, him on the bus dancing to that song, so fun. As I was saying before, it's so fun to watch these guys enjoy themselves. And Bissouma too, from being somewhat out in the cold to come back in the last 2 European games have been extremely good. So it throws up things for next year too when we talk about sort of transfer stuff, what happens with some of the guys. But yeah, what's your favorite bit you've seen?
I think it has to be the video of someone from the stands filming Sarr sitting like, not being able to watch
Yes,
the last
yeah,
corner, and then, like, waiting for the goal kick to happen and, like, not looking, like, sitting on the bench facing away, and then just running down the pitch as soon as the full-time whistle goes, because that's how I was, except for I was hiding behind, like, the counter in my in my apartment because
yeah.
I got caught up in meetings beforehand, so I didn't get to go to the
Romero's was
bar to
pretty good.
watch.
Romero's reaction at full time. I mean, let's use this to say. Actually, give me your post game man of the match. Who's been the
Post-game man
most
of the match,
enjoyable?
it's so hard to not give it to Bissouma because I think Bissouma, I don't know, like, from every piece of like, piece of media I actually I think it's Bissouma for everything, but for the post-match moment of the post-match, I think it has to be, I guess maybe part of it's because 'cause I'm it here and this is the content that I see, but I was watching all the post-match stuff, they had just done the trophy, and then James Madison comes up and gives it large to everybody
Oh,
on the
that was
panel
so
for
funny.
the Paramount, and I was like, "That," and I've seen some videos since of it riling up other opposition fans that really shouldn't care.
Yeah,
Um,
especially the fact that he's wearing a shirt because he had to wear a shirt to get the
yeah,
medal. Like,
yeah, and he was
just
like,
that
"Oh, I don't
part's
wanna
not
go
a
John
part to insult
Terry,"
him.
which
Yeah.
is like a known thing at this point, and then our
Mhm.
Chelsea fans are like, "You're not in the same universe as John Terry." Sorry for that terrible, accent, I'll never do it again.
Don't do it again. Do it
But
again.
no,
What
maybe
about
later.
just in the comments? Let us know your favorite moment post
Oh, yeah,
match. Yeah.
I'm
The
down for
Romero one. It's can we move on to talk about the players
yeah,
now?
yeah, yeah.
I'll start with Romero. I have said recently that I was indifferent to him leaving, and I think that was just because of the he hasn't played because it's just been Europe. But when I actually think about it now and what he did in that final, and going back and being like, oh, when he actually has played in important games, has been unbelievable. And to be indifferent about him leaving when he was the sort of spearhead for the attitude of the team in the final. So I can't now. I'm just like, never let him go, and hopefully winning this and being in the Champions League means you'll at least stay around for another
I
year or
did
so.
I did see a so, obviously, everything taken with a grain of salt. We've done our fair share of complaining about, like, rumors and stuff, but I saw, like, some throwaway thing that said, that making Champions League would change the outcome of what the Romero decision was this season, and, like, I think that's while at one on the one hand, duh, on the other hand, I don't know, he's just on his day, and obviously there are times where people will criticize him and think that he's, like, been off it, but I still think if you're asking me for the center back to have in a final, I don't think there are many better than Romero. Like,
No.
I think he's batting 1,000 right now for finals one, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, he's
Yeah.
just that
His
he
partnership too with Mickey
yes.
is unbelievable. They complement each other so well, and I can't even actually remember the last time he got yellow carded either. Like the narrative about him being just reckless. He's aggressive, that's for sure, but I can't remember the last time he got
He
yellow carded.
does he does seem to have acquired the because he didn't have it, and it frustrated the mess out of me, where some of the players that are known for fouling have this sort of immunity to that first yellow, and I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah, I'd
why.
say that.
Fernandinho had
Yeah.
it, Casemiro has it, basically every CDM has it, or defensive
Yeah.
midfielder. You're gonna get mad at me for using that term.
Oh, that's just him. That sort of thing. I said that's just
Yeah,
him
yeah,
being him. Yeah.
and Romero, I felt like deserved that if any players get it, because, like, on the one hand, I'd rather nobody get it because foul's foul in my mind. But
Well,
if it's
for the
not,
ref in this game, everything was a foul apparently.
like,
But that's
until
not
until the 60th minute when we had decided to not play football anymore, then they were just allowed to take out legs because there were at least 3 times
yeah,
where
yeah.
Son was upended and no ball was touched, and the ref would just point at the ball that was rolling very clearly in the same trajectory as it had been beforehand, but we'll talk about that when we talk about
Yeah,
the
yeah.
match.
Sorry. I gotta
But
yeah.
yeah, I think this season specifically, after maybe December or so. So, like, I guess when he came back from injury, I think he kind of developed it. Maybe he acquired it in his post-injury rehab. I don't know, but he's he's been able to, I guess, get away with more. And if that's gonna happen, if we're gonna do the subjective foul thing, I'm more than happy to benefit off of it, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, he was so good. There's the start of the game, even when he just went up above Hoyland and just completely just landed on him and crushed him, because that sort of stuff is like I guess the dark art sort of thing. You just let that guy know that you're here and stuff, and he's a young guy, not in any form at all. So, and yeah, just you mentioned already, but the start of the game to drag everyone across, and they even had another huddle at halftime, didn't they, as well? So yeah, his leadership was unbelievable, and even just to see his reaction to it was really nice as well. Like there was so much joy. I think you don't really see much personality come from Romero that often, maybe because of he only does sort of Spanish press conferences, maybe, so we can't really, even if we get the translation, we can't get the feeling of it really. But the emotion he showed at the end of the game, and just even when Sonny lifted the trophy, he is just so ecstatic. And then the post match stuff with him, and then what about his mate and the next to him, Van de Ven?
Oh man, that goal line clearance, the pictures. I mean, another piece of content that just fantastic, seen over and over and over again, and I'll see it a million times more. It's just beautiful. I don't know. He's
Mm.
just the wherewithal in that moment to go cover. I'm sure, like, as every center back in the world is taught to do that. But we've seen, like, there. I'm sure everyone's seen different breakdowns of the goal by now, and you know, someone had to. Shaw's been taught to pass that man off to Dorgu, and Dorgu should have been taught to
Yep, yep.
pick that
Hmm.
pick that player up. But sometimes in finals, sometimes people make lapses in concentration, and to have that wherewithal in that moment to go cover that goal, and then to have the athletic ability
Oh,
to make that.
no one else on the field could do it. No one else is that like flexible, like the length, the ability to jump that high, to get his foot that high, and you mentioned the ability to read the game. I don't think anyone else on the field could have pulled that off, to be honest. It's such a huge moment, and I hope there comes like a really good photo of it that gets like immortalized of that sort of
I'm
it.
sure it. There, every photo I see of it is the perfect photo. I don't know. Maybe
Just
that's just
use
because I
this
know
as
what it
a
represents.
yeah, use this as a sort of a little ad for us. We're gonna pump out some merch, so keep an eye on that. And there's a one of them is going to be based around that moment too, and it's somewhat like the Michael Jordan logo to me. Do you know how he's like that sort
Yeah,
of reach out dunk thing?
it's
But
just
it's
like flipped. Like
yeah, yeah, yeah. But he was great again. Yeah, but do you know what we're going to say? We can go through all the players, but I'm pretty much going to say they were all great.
oh, they're all
That's pretty
great.
much
Yeah.
yeah. I
I
love them
instead
all.
of going player by player, I do kind of want to talk about the way that we like played because I mentioned it
Mhm.
earlier, and I want to talk about it, go into it a bit more in depth now. That we were kind of maligned, I guess, at the start of basically at the start of his tenure, all the way up until I guess even yesterday, where we had a manager who never changed his tactics. And what we did is today, or I guess yesterday, we ironically ran into a manager who actually never changes his
Yeah,
tactics.
didn't
I
change it
mean,
once. The whole game.
we,
The
s-
whole game was exactly
I'm,
the same.
yeah, he had a back three at the 88th minute when you're
When
down a
we
goal.
weren't even in their half, what's the point in having a defender there? Why do you want three centre backs when you have the ball the whole time? Like, what are they going to do? What they're going to do is they're going to get to the end of the game, and Yoro is going to have a shot because he's not an attacking player, and he's going to just waste 30 seconds for them.
Yeah.
That's what's going to. It just yeah,
And
yeah.
the thing
They
is that it didn't even like, they weren't even good at, like the only thing I can think of is that you're just that worried about a counter attack that
Mhm.
you need 3 players back there to make sure that it doesn't happen. But I don't even think that the 3 center backs were all that effective at doing that. Because I can
No,
only
Solanke
like,
would have got in if he wasn't
realistically,
wrecked.
yeah,
Mm.
Son had a couple where he was going into the corner, got his legs taken out from under him, and because it's a final, and you kind of want to create the drama. We didn't get that foul that we definitely would have milked for the next 2 to 3 minutes. So I can kind of understand that from like a game state situation. We had another chance where Solanke, if Solanke hadn't been running as fast as he could for the previous 65 minutes, puts that away easily. He
Yeah,
probably should have
yeah,
put it away anyway, but we won. So
mhm,
we're not gonna worry about that.
yeah.
I don't know. It just felt like such a weird decision, and I guess you could say that that's kind of how it might have felt to a neutral fan watching us play with 9 men on the halfway line against Chelsea. But this is just so much different because you lose against Chelsea with 9 men. That's one expected. Two, it's the league. Like
Mhm.
losses happen. This is a game you cannot lose. You cannot draw. You need to win. You either win or you lose. And especially with the way that these two team seasons have gone, you either win and you have Champions League football, you're a desirable destination, you have a lot more money, you're sitting pretty for next season, and hopefully you can kick on from this, or you lose, you're 16th, 17th, you have nothing, you have no European football. So that's a lot of money that you're losing, you're leaving on the table, especially for a club that size. And you just nothing. It was so weird.
All you made me think of then was I'm so glad it's not us going through those emotions of what it's like to lose that game. That would have been
We've done that enough. We've had
yeah, but
we're,
just
we're basically
in
professionals at this point.
mm. There it was. I thought our tactics were perfect to nullify them completely. They with the way we doubled up on their wide players with Richie doing so much work to get back all the time. They didn't have we had five or six, sorry, five, yeah, two centre backs and the three midfielders basically clog up the middle. So there was literally nowhere for them to go. So the whole second half it had to be a moment like where it came off Vic's face for them to score, really. It had to be something like that. It was never going to be something creative because we just completely choked them. We just, and yeah, I mean, we all knew that Ange has changed his tactics. I think most people watching Spurs, it's just the people that don't really pay attention and get the mainstream narrative that
They
is
listen to what
lazy.
Amarim says before the match. Like, he
Yeah.
says that
Mm,
Ange only plays one way. I was like, well, we talked about this last time. We were like, if he thinks that, and I said that I thought it was probably just him,
mm.
grandstanding. But honestly, based on the way he played, maybe it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. And what do you think about him saying at the end of the game that they were the better team?
Oh, come off it. You guys, they barely matched our XG for the game. Not to use XG as the be all end all, because obviously there are other factors. Blah, 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 blah. They barely matched our XG, and we didn't have a shot after we scored. We did not
We,
have a
we might we
shot,
might not have
not a
actually
shot
had a
on
shot.
target. We actually didn't have a shot. Like, if you look at our XG target, it is Johnson scores, flat line.
Mm.
It is in it. It's the kind of game that would make Mourinho's heart flutter. Not to invoke his name, but it is. I do want to. I guess I want to talk a little bit about why we played the way we did, because I think some people are like, oh, well, like they were like, oh, it was an ugly game. They're lucky to get the win. Blah 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 blah. And obviously, I think that I said this on the last podcast I was on, that it takes skill to make a game boring. And that's not a skill every team has. Look at United. United, their back three setup is made to make games boring, but they don't have the defensive stability to make a game boring. They get cut open by West Ham. They got cut open by a cross from Sarr that went to Johnson, and then they would have probably been cut open more if we had decided that scoring a second goal was a worthy opportunity. They were cut open more times. They were cut open the other time with Solanke, but whatever. Um, so it's not like it's just easy to just go shut up shop. It's why the
Mhm.
teams that play with 10 men behind the ball, if you're a newly promoted team, still get relegated a lot of the time because it's not easy. Sometimes like the quality that you have still determines whether or not you're able to make that game boring. And we also kind of didn't really have a choice to make the game boring or not based on the players we had available.
Yep.
We didn't have a single player except for Odebear, who doesn't play there. Ange doesn't. Ange, I don't think thinks of him as a player that will play in the 10. We do not have a single player who was comfortable playing in that kind of creative role. Fortunately, we did get Sarr back, which, oh my,
Oh,
to
Jesus.
talk about
Yeah.
going player to player, what a performance he put in.
Mm.
He must have run. He had to have run more than
20
anybody
Ks,
else on the
20
pitch.
Ks,
Yeah,
easy.
had to have. He was just
20 Ks,
everywhere
crazy.
all
The
the time.
even just to sum up the goal, he wins that ball back. He carries it forward, looking for option, lays it off, and then makes the run to stretch their defense and take out their centre back, make him wider, which Bentancur then fills the gap. And then he puts the cross in. Like he does four different things. He wins the ball, he carries, he makes a selfless run, and then he puts the ball in for the goal in 30 seconds time. And that's just summed up his game. He was clearing the ball, he was carrying, he was getting in. How he covers the ground is unbelievable, and it's so good to have a player like that in our team. Like he's not the best technical player, but he has a decent shot on him, but his ability to cover ground is I can't even think of someone that for Spurs we've had someone like that can cover ground like he did. I guess Delhi but it was a different player, completely different player.
He does
He could
eat
cover.
space
So, yeah,
better than I think any player I've seen, especially at Tottenham, from basically as much as I can remember. He just I think I mean, part of it, I think, is his frame. He's just so
yeah, long,
lanky
yeah,
that he's just it just feels like it's 3 steps and he's anywhere he wants to be on the pitch.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's not only that, it's that he does that and then just goes to the other side of the pitch just for fun. Like, he is everywhere he needs to be, and that kind of player is so nice, and he's only gonna get better as he continues
absolutely.
to mature and
Was he
develop because
22
he's
now?
still
22?
22, 23, 22, I think?
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
still 22. He's 22. He is the age that most players are kind of making that jump to a team, maybe a level even below Tottenham.
mhm,
Like, they're just getting their moments of first team football. They've been in the academy. Now it's time for the big boy stuff. But he's already been in this position. He's only going to get better from here. He's going to get his body is going to continue to get stronger. He's going to develop better as a footballing brain. And
yeah,
that's something that's super exciting because when you have a player like that, and then you can combine that with the increased technical, like tactical ability that like an older player gets, like as a player
yeah,
gets older, that's just oh man, what a player. I know I've saw a bunch of neutral, like I follow a lot of like tacticos or whatever. A lot of neutrals were made aware of just how good he's become
mhm,
from that game. But for anyone watching from a different club, he's ours. Don't
yeah.
don't. He's
I
ours.
mean, we've got so many guys around that age. This is what I was saying before. The future is so bright for us now, and we've come out the darkness. And there's this thing they do in movies, right? If you want to have like an explosion in a movie, the sound will go completely quiet. It won't be talking action things and then boom, it's talking action things and then it's complete silence and then it makes the boom bigger. And that's sort of what our season's been like. And to have these players go through that at such a young age and come out victorious, and then what we can build off this, and to have them so like united as a group, and
Hmm.
yeah, it's so exciting, and I can't there's no other fan base in the world at the moment that can be as happy as us, except for probably Crystal Palace.
I would be happy if I were Crystal Palace. I'm happy for
Yeah,
Crystal Palace.
the same. I really enjoy Crystal Palace as a club, and they've got some really
I'll be
exciting
even
players
happier
that we
when we
might
take
take some
Fahey
of
and Eze.
them.
We'll talk about that a little bit later. But just to go to finish talking about how ugly the game was, we got Sar back. I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to make the final, which thank God he did. And then the only other like first team like midfielders that we have are Bentancur and Bissouma,
We
both
played all
very
the
good
fit ones.
players. We played all the fit ones, exactly. And we had, I guess, Archie Gray, but he's still kind of shown that he's taking a while to bed into that
Yeah.
role, and he doesn't make much of a difference in terms of the like creativity that we would need anyway.
Mhm.
So we didn't. It's not like we could play an expansive game. So we had to do what we could, and Ange had to set the team up to do what they could, and that was, like you said, stop up the middle, prevent their best player or the best player on paper, I guess, Bruno,
Yeah.
from doing anything, and just forcing them out wide, and then trusting that our center backs would get the better of Hoyland aerially, essentially,
Mhm.
and trusting that we would be able to deal with Ahmad and sort of Mason Mount, but honestly, not really because he
I
doesn't
don't even
really.
remember him playing the game, to be honest, Mason Mount. Ahmad only got really one victory over a doggy. There was a moment where he sort of span him a little bit, and he got. I think that wasn't when he got the shot off, but it was early on in the game. But then a doggy's ball carrying out of defence was especially late in the game when he wanted a free kick late in the game, and yeah. But to how we played, I think also too there's a variables aspect of it as well. Is that you have to win. There's no game next week like there is in the league. So you have to win. And to do that, you want to sort of take as many variables out of the game as you can, I think. So I think that was part of it as well. And Ange has mentioned that he does play different in cup games because of the knockout part of it. So, and that, we've seen, because I mean, we didn't have a cup we didn't have Europe last season, his first year. We didn't see this different tactic in these long cup runs. And I guess we got a glimpse of it against Liverpool, but everyone probably just assumed that was because we were playing Liverpool, not because that's what he does in cups. And then it's sort of, we went through Frankfurt and Bodo, and now with Man United doing it, it's like, oh yeah, well, makes sense it actually is something we've been trying to do the whole time, but we're at that sort of point where it's all new to us, having a manager that is it's good at winning stuff. Actually, that's not true because we've had Conte and Mourinho. They're good at winning things, but
winning things here.
Yeah, changing the culture. Like those two guys made it about themselves the whole time. Even Ange at the end of the game, he was standing off on the podium when lifting the trophy, and it took Pyro and Bergfell to bring him into the mix because he wanted those guys to experience it. And that's what you need to do as a leader at the sort of the pinnacle of the group that you're leading. It can't be about you. It has to be about everyone else. And that's probably why we didn't win things with the other two guys, is because it was always about them. And Ange, I've said it the whole time, his leadership skills are unbelievable. It's unbelievable leadership skills. He needs to write a book about leadership, to be honest, when he's done, because bestseller for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think you could even see, like, once we scored, I think we kind of everyone, I think, like I said, we didn't have a shot afterwards. So we kind of decided that that was enough unless United wanted to gift us an opportunity on a counter, and they did a couple of times. But we didn't convert any of those, but it didn't matter because we wanted to nullify them. Like that was the plan in the second half. And I need to go back and I need to rewatch the game with a bit of a clearer head. Fully. I've obviously watched the highlights like 8 billion times over, but I need to go back and watch it without, being emotional about it so that I can go back and see exactly what happened. One of the things I did notice is that we did kind of make a change at halftime where we basically decided that, like you said, I think their best player on the night was pretty clearly, especially at least attacking wise, was pretty clearly Ahmad. I think he's a fantastic player, and like you said, I think he's like the only player that he would get the ball and I'd get a little nervous.
Mhm.
Because I think anyone else, like even Bruno, I think was because we just had so many bodies in midfield and we had players like Sar and Bissouma and Bentancur who would just be like, as soon as he would get the ball, they'd be at least one of them on him, and he wouldn't have time to think. He wouldn't have time to do anything.
Yeah. There was even
Um,
moments. Oh, sorry, you
Go
finish.
ahead.
Finish your thought.
I was just gonna say that I think that he we saw the one place that they were getting joy, a little bit of it. And in the second half, I think we saw that Bissouma had more of a license to go help out wide. We saw that Richarlison and then later Son, their primary
Mm.
goal was not attacking. Their
No,
primary goal was stopping Ahmad. Their primary
that's
goal
why
was
Richard
being
was so
that
tired.
yeah, their primary goal
Yeah.
is being that secondary defender, basically a second wingback. And
Yeah.
that's just like if you ask someone at the start of this season, what like which of the two managers was doing that, you would have gotten if you asked 100 people of all fandoms, you would have gotten 100 answers for Amarim and 0 answers for Ange. And
Mhm.
it's yeah, he doesn't just have one plan, guys.
That's what happens when you just follow mainstream narratives. It's the story of the world at the moment, isn't it? If you follow mainstream narratives, you're probably going to get it wrong, which is embarrassing for the people that work in the mainstream. Really, like do a little bit of due diligence when you're sort of gonna. But anyway, I digress. I was wanting to sort of mention on. It sort of made me think about it with Bruno that when Archie came on, it felt like that Andrew just told him anytime the ball is clear from the box, all you have to do is get out to the player it falls to, because he was charging out every single, like, full on sprint as fast as he could at them, because that's something we haven't been very good at, is getting to the ball to stop it coming into the box. This year, I think it's been a fairly sort of big weakness, is stopping balls coming into the box. And yeah, Archie seemed to be tasked with just making sure nothing comes in. And so it means every single person, even the guys like Bergvall and Madison and Kulu and Will Lancashire scored a goal in the Europa League run. Like, there's 4 academies, 4,
Four
maybe
academy
more,
players. I think it's
4 academy
4.
players played and scored in this run to win it. And like, it's just, I keep coming back to it, but the bond between these players is going to be immense from all that they've done. And even mentioned Archie again talking with Lucas Bergvall about that thing about him not playing, and him, they all know of how much he contributed. And Archie said he's been one of our best players this year, and he knows it. And he could see on Bergvall's face, he was like, yeah, I have been. Because he has, and he deserves the medal. It's sad he didn't get to play in that game, and probably would have been more comfortable of a win if he had played. But yeah, I'm just so happy for them. I keep getting, we're talking about the football, and I just keep getting distracted by the fact that I'm just so happy. So happy.
I don't blame you. It is.
Yeah.
It's a feeling that should not be, like, I guess, discounted or forgotten. I guess, like, sure, there's going to be people on the weekend if we lose to when we lose to Brighton. If we lose to Brighton, I will be the irrational optimist always.
It's going to be the funniest game of the year. And I kind of, do you know what I hope that happens? Because it's going to be hilarious. We're losing 3-0 and the Spurs fans start chanting, "Give us another one, Brighton." Like, it's celebrating them, because there's no way. And who's going to play? Actually, let's save that one for maybe a bit later. But that it's going to be so funny that game, because it does not matter at all. It would be it'd be good. The funniness of us going ahead of United on the last day too would be kind of funny. But if they lost and we won,
17th in a trophy has a certain ring to it that 16th in a
Yeah.
trophy doesn't, though.
Yeah,
So
it
I'm
does.
happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy with 17th. I
Yeah,
also want
and
to
I
talk
would.
a
Yeah,
bit about that. Actually, this is a pretty good, as good of a reason as any to kind of transition to that, because I want to talk, because obviously finish 17th or 16th or wherever we'll end up finishing. Probably 17th, based on league form. And I don't know. I think it's really interesting that we actually got to answer, would you rather finish 17th in a trophy or 4th? Because, like, usually if you're 17th, you're not winning a trophy. I'll tell you that right now. Or, like, I don't know. And despite the FA Cup being a fantastic trophy, it does not get you into the most important competition of the next season.
Yep.
Which in my opinion is the Champions League. Champions League is, like, the most important because it gives you the most money. It makes you the most, like, it makes you the best target for players. It gives, like I said, it just allows for you to kick on and create a further, like, to create a better team quicker
And it's
by being in the
magical.
Champions League.
It's always magical, the Champions League. Like, there's something about it too. And I think it's the biggest cup competition for sure for clubs, and the second biggest cup competition is the Europa League. And to think that it's not suitable to win the second biggest club cup competition to not be a champion is, I was going to swear.
We don't need to talk. It's because everyone knows that if it had been like Bilbao or whatever, and they end up finishing in not the Champions League places and in La Liga, that no one's going to say anything. If it had been United, people would have talked about it, but people would have I think the narrative would have been, oh well, it's United. They always find a way, that kind of thing, because they would have agreed. It would have gone with their, like, preconceived biases and what they, like, kind of assumed that, like, a club like Manchester United should be, I guess, like, where they should be. And of course, now that it's Tottenham, we're gonna have to talk all summer about, should the champions of the Europa League actually get to go into the Champions League, or should they just go back into the Europa League or whatever?
Should finishing 5th get you? It's just, and you know what also is to me, it's super arrogant. It's only comes from Premier League fans, and it's extremely arrogant of Premier League fans to put the Premier League 5th position above winning the Europa League. And to the fact that finishing in the Premier League has anything other than the top 5 this year has anything to do with the Champions League.
Yeah,
It has
and it's
nothing to
it's
do
because
with
the
it.
thing is every season, like, every season except for this one, because I can remember because 'cause we've been 4th a lot or, like, in and around that area a lot over the past, like, 10 or so
Decade or
years,
so. Yeah.
and almost every year, those teams from 3rd to 5th, 3rd to 6th, 3rd to 7th even sometimes, are just doing everything they can to give that spot away, like, at least half of the season. 'Cause I can remember because some of the times it's us, where
Yeah.
you'll have a team that's in 4th and they'll lose to, like, Sheffield, and then the new team will get in 4th and they'll lose to, like, Brentford or whatever. Not no offense to Brentford or Sheffield or anything, but, they lose to a team they should beat, and then all of a sudden, the narrative is, like, maybe, like I've heard jokes when we finish 4th and we don't have the strongest end of the season. The joke is like, "Oh, well, should we just give it to like, should we give it to the winner of the FA Cup or whatever?" But now that it's us winning the cup competition instead of being the team that, you know, stumbles at the end of the season, like crawls across the finish line, it's, "Oh, do they really belong here?"
What do you think? Why do you think there's so much? Is it just that we're in the Spurs sort of world that we feel like we get so much hate from outside, or is it genuine that we get so much hate from outside? And is the reason that past the 80s or so is that United and Liverpool were an organic growth of a club? They're completely organic. But after that, there's been no organic club that's been successful. City, Chelsea, so Arsenal, organic too. That's fair enough. But Tottenham have moved from being Everton, Newcastle, Villa level and pushed themselves organically into the upper echelons of club sizes. Now, a couple of those teams are catching back up, not so organically either, as well, with Newcastle and Villa's crazy spending isn't really that organic. But the is that? Do you think that's a bit of it? It's kind of like what do you think it is? Why do I mean? Because I'm not in England, maybe that's why I don't know. I can't really feel the hatred for it. But no, do you have any sort of
Honestly,
thoughts?
based on the reactions from other fans, part of it, obviously, is that we beat United, and most people don't like United because, a lot of people don't like teams that are historically, like, have that kind of history. Nobody likes to root for the overdog except for the fans of the overdogs. So, with that being said, I do think that it's actually been, like, a pretty good like, a pretty positive reaction
Oh
from.
yeah, reaction from this has been good. There's been a lot of like Palace and sort of
Yeah.
Newcastle fans have been good about it and stuff like that. It's just sort of generally the sort of media
I
narrative.
think it's just
Yeah,
I think it's genuinely just that Arsenal got really big and got very successful at the point of time where these media outlets were being created, like,
and what
where
didn't
the
they do in
Premier
that
League.
time? What didn't they do? They didn't win a European
European
trophy.
trophy, that's crazy, that's crazy. Yeah,
Mm.
like, they were good in the Premier League and, like, they're invincible, whatever, even though they drew, like, half their games. Um, but yeah, they were big at the time where these kind of media outlet conglomeration things like Sky Sports and whatever were like really betting into being like a national and then global like phenomenon that was like setting, I guess, kind of sports culture. Because if you have like a group like that isn't basically going to go in as just like a non-biased thing, like kind of thinking for like ESPN Sports Center is probably what I can think of as like the only, like, pure non-biased, like, like, sports talk show I can think of at the moment. But if you're not going in, like, trying to do just that, which especially with, like, the kind of culture around being a fan of a club in England and, like, in Europe in general, I think, brings for, like, a football club, I don't think it's possible to do that really. So because they were big,
Mm.
you wanna hire the people that are going to speak to one of the bigger fan bases,
Yeah,
Arsenal and United.
yeah,
So, because they were big in that point in time, 1, they get installed as big club forever. 2, because you have those kinds of big because you have that big, like, kind of influence, you then get to point at who to dislike.
yeah.
United had Liverpool, but Liverpool was like big enough to kind of push back on it.
Yeah.
But because Tottenham not had been less successful in that point in time, we didn't really have a
Especially that
lot.
period too in the
Yeah,
90s,
exactly. We were
like
bad
the
at the time
financial
that it
struggles and yeah,
mattered in this
yeah,
point. So I think that's it. I think it's just that we were bad at the time where like sports media really blew up
yeah,
and Arsenal were good. And so you had a bunch of Arsenal fans in sports media. You didn't have a bunch of Tottenham fans in sports media. Bang.
yeah. That makes
I
sense.
don't know. Just a guess.
Digressed. What were we talking about before that? Something more interesting than
Probably the Europa League.
yeah, probably the probably the Europa League.
Okay, we were
Oh
talking.
man,
I was
oh
talking about why I
man.
wanted to why we finished 17th, and I think that
Ah, yeah,
like people are like, well, like obviously, I have voiced my displeasure with how we played, and I wish that we could have played better. Because if we had finished like 10th, this isn't a conversation. Like, there's no
no,
conversation
no,
about
not
Hender's
at all.
future.
Mhm.
But I think you have to like look at like one. We joked about it in February, but you go and look at it. There was no chance we were getting relegated. But there was also very little chance that we were going to claw our way back to a position to make Europe.
Yep.
So since February, the league has not mattered, like at all, at all. I wish that, like I said, I wish we could have played better. It would have made having this kind of conversation a lot easier. But you also have to look at it like there was never, there wasn't any like point, I guess, in so like it wouldn't shock me if we learn at some point that they were spending like 95% of the time focusing on getting like either preparing for the Carabao, which, we gave a good account of ourselves until like the last
Semi-final.
game. Yeah, we made a
Yeah.
semifinal. We were up 1-0 in the halfway through.
Mhm.
Don't ask what happens after that. But, spending basically all the time focusing on that and then later the Europa League and kind of just sending players out there for the league because who cares?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's my feeling towards it too. Is I've always sort of understood the circumstances, and it kind of was like, meh, like what's the difference between 10th and 17th, really, other than
Vibes.
bragging rights? But also too, the Premier Leagues are very like Crystal Palace. They are really good, and we're in a similar position. We just look way worse because we've fallen so far in position wise, but the Premier League's an extremely competitive league as well. This year more than ever before. So it's a culmination of so many things all at once. And is best season ever wise? What you can remember? Let's go say the last 10 years since we've sort of been in those Champions League spot. Is this the best season that we've had?
It has to be. It's weird. It's so hard to say that though.
Yeah.
I want to say yes because the answer is yes. But then we finished 17th, and so it's hard to
Mhm.
say that though because
What position would
it's
make
really
that comfy?
difficult. It's difficult. What position would make that comfortable? Ninth.
Yeah. Semi-final trophy in the European Cup and ninth. Would it be easy to say best season ever?
Yeah, it's just so weird to like compare seasons because
Yeah.
there's just
So many
completely
variables. Yeah.
like different competitions.
Yeah.
Like obviously, like have I had the most fun at any point? Have I felt the best about the team at any point this
Yeah.
season than I have at any Yes. Have I
Mhm.
also felt the worst I felt about this team?
Yeah, that's it. It
Yes.
has to be moments, doesn't it? It has to be moments because, like, after Wolves, that felt terrible. And we were on podcast. I don't know if you were on that episode saying, "Oh, he might get fired." Not saying we wanted him to, but we were like, "He might get fired." That was pretty bad. And then the complete other end of the spectrum that we're still living in right now. We probably not far off getting the parade started. We could stay live until the parade starts if everyone wants to.
What is it? 6 I think it's 6 p.m. tomorrow?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know.
sounds right. 5 or 6, I think. They moved it for the people at work and stuff like that. Yeah. Well, Adam
I was gonna
McFarlane.
Yep, you and I both
Yeah,
thinking the same thing.
yeah. Let's talk about it. Adam, tell us who you want too. Who's your
Yeah.
firepower? Now, we have to sort of set the scene, I think, with this because we have to say who is staying
Yes.
first.
I think more pertinent is probably who's leaving. Like, who do we
Yeah, because
think?
there's easy ones like Reggie's going, Brian Hill, all those guys that weren't
Yeah.
involved. I
Anyone
guess
who
Reggie did.
was on loan, I think is probably gone. If we
Yes,
can find a good
other
enough.
than youth academy
Yeah,
players.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Anyone
yeah,
who was
yeah,
like a senior member.
yeah. So
Timo
get
will
rid of
not
them.
have his thing renewed.
No way.
Darn.
No.
Um, I think,
It's actually good. He's saved money for now in a way.
yeah,
Like he's held a place, so he's done us a favor. He's held. Well, he has a high wage, so he'll be gone. Um, so Richie is Richie staying?
that's who I was going to talk about. I don't see it. I think is if we can get a reasonable offer. I think he goes.
Yeah,
I think he's a great player on his day, but I think we just don't really have a he doesn't have a place in the long-term future because he's better as a 9, but doesn't do enough of the he just can't stay healthy enough to be a contributor over a full season. And I think especially with the way that this season played out, we need to kind of move away from those players that have been giving us injury troubles if we can. And
he
I
is an
think
agent of
Richie's one of
chaos,
those
isn't he?
players. He is, and I
And
will love him.
Slanky isn't though, and
No.
that's the difference. Slanky's actually fairly silky on the ball. His first touch is incredible, and so I don't see it as them being like they can just be interchangeable.
Yeah.
I don't see them being the same. So, but I mean, he played amazing in the last few European games, and he's one of the reasons why we have it here. Like we're in this position we are right now. He's one of the reasons. So I wouldn't begrudge him if he stays.
Yeah, he's a
Um,
fantastic bench option, I think,
yeah,
going forward. I just think that I think we can get players who are close enough to him on the bench that are less money and have less
yeah,
wages. And I think he probably does deserve to wants to and probably deserves to start somewhere, if he can stay healthy. So I think that if
yeah,
there's a
yeah.
club that comes in and offers a reasonable salary, I think we could be on. I think it would, I've obviously heard rumors about we've all seen rumors about it at this point, but I wouldn't be surprised if the man who does replace him is the person right here. I'm mirrored, so I'm
Mhm.
confused. But right here, Jonathan David, I think that that's a player that I think gets a little bit underrated because he's Canadian, and I think that basically every player that isn't South American or European gets underrated at some point, just because they're not from a traditional footballing
Mhm.
powerhouse. But I think that I think he's a good option. We'll probably do a video on him at some point early in the summer when I get
Yeah.
around to.
I haven't watched him enough. I've just heard people talking about him a lot. So it wouldn't be one I could say like, yeah, let's bring him in. But it's gonna be tricky. The free agents, I guess, to use. Do they say free
American
agents in
terms.
England? I don't
I
know.
think
Um,
so, but they're just calling free transfers. I think. I don't know.
yeah, but that's not free. There's so many bonuses getting paid out.
The agent gets paid a bajillion dollars. You get paid way more in wages. Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
free.
so there'll be a lot of suitors for him too. So it might not be. What about Biss? Is he staying? Because after
I
the last two performance, I'm like, just let him stay. Like, who cares?
I think he is a great bench option. Again, I
Yeah,
think he's a great bench option, and I think that because we didn't pay as much for him, I'm gonna talk about this in a second. But I think because we didn't pay a lot for him, like he was a pretty reasonably he had a pretty reasonable fee. We won't be able to get that kind of we don't need to get that kind of money back for him. So like he's kind of paid for himself in a way because
was he like
he brought us.
45 mil? Was that what it was?
I thought it was cheaper than that because he was on the last year of his deal.
Could have been 35. Could have been.
I
No, you
think it
reckon
was I
that's
think it
too?
was like 30. I'll check as I'm talking, which is why I'm not looking at the camera. But I think that he's proven this season that I don't think he needs game time to put in good performances because he gets
Yeah,
runs of games and
he's
he
the
does
opposite. Yeah.
terrible, and then he plays in one-off games and he's the best
Mhm.
player on the pitch. And it always feels like it's the first game back from something where he plays his best. So honestly, pretty good.
I don't
He's a
see any
guy.
reason to moving on. I
Yeah,
don't think it.
exactly.
This is
I
yeah.
want to improve upon him, I think
Yeah.
Cardoso is a good option because I think he's consistently put in like 7.5 out of 10 performances on Betis. Well, obviously we'll see him in a final soon. I think they play Chelsea, so
Yeah.
they're going to be a bit overmatched there, unfortunately. But he's consistently put in good performances for Betis. I've kind of watched him as more of a fan so far, just because he's American. So I
Mhm.
and
Great
but
for the market. Great for
yeah,
the club to have an American in there. That's we
yeah,
talk about the sunny aspect all the time with him being South Korean and that market that he brings in. So it's a good one. I haven't watched enough of Bettis to say like how good he is. I've obviously like a lot of people seen him play in spurts, and I've watched a couple of games because of he's been on he's such a hot topic in the Spurs world. I love how he flicks the ball over people's head all the time. That's pretty fun. He does it all
he's
the time.
he definitely has the physical profile to be one of our holding midfielders.
Mm.
He's a big guy. He can also eat space pretty well. He doesn't eat it as efficiently or as smoothly, I guess, as Sar does, but he definitely can eat some space. And we'll also do a video on him because I think David and Cardoso are probably the two most obvious transfer rumors that we've
Mhm.
been linked to thus far. The only thing that would make me think we won't get him, I think we will be purely for the point that he is like he's just such a good deal. Like at this point, if you would
Yeah.
put him on the market, he would be worth like 10 to 15 million pounds, euros, I don't know, more than
Dollary
he is.
dues.
Sure, yeah, dollary dues. That he's worth based on the agreement that we have with him with this through that Lo Celso deal. So I think that we'll
Yeah.
probably buy him just because I wouldn't be surprised if we also brought in another more senior midfielder, because I know that there's been talk about bringing in someone like that, and that could also coincide with the departure of Bentancur. I don't know. I think with Bentancur and Basuma, it'll kind of be like if there's a club that really, really wants him and
Yeah,
is
probably.
willing to pay over the odds for him, I think they'll go. But don't I I don't see either of them being like priorities to leave. I think that's
No.
probably
No.
Richarlison. Um, I think Richarlison will kind of try to force out a little bit. Obviously, the loanees, we want to make money on them. I think Solomon will probably be a pretty easy sale to
Yeah, that'd be easy, yeah.
Leeds.
Should we throw
Um,
Ben Davies in with the deal to Leeds?
that honestly wouldn't be the worst move. I think he's definitely a player that we'll be looking at upgrading. I think we might try to bring in
Yeah, I think well, that's the
another
next part
center
is,
back.
what positions do we need then now? So, for me, it's 10 players or
No,
a
a
number
10,
10.
number
Yeah,
10.
yeah. So,
Speaking of number 10s,
I think yes, that's the sort of
I think there are two.
it's very interesting, the forward line with those players, because I feel like we need competition for Johnson as well. I feel like
I
sort of putting a
think
bit of pressure on him
I think
to
that
sort of
we kind of get that naturally though with Odebear. It's just that he's been
yeah,
injured,
true.
and I
Yeah.
don't think that I don't think he's proven to be injury prone enough to move off of him. Obviously, if the club disagree, then that's something I guess we could look at bringing in another winger, but I don't think that's necessarily a
Mm,
priority. I
no.
think I think we'll probably, especially now that we have Champions League football, I think we'll definitely retain the services of Tell. I think we might get him for the rumor is that we want to get him for a little bit cheaper than
Yeah,
what
I think that's fair
the
though.
thing is at the moment, which is exactly what we did with Kulusevski. So I don't think this is panic like a panic button. I think we'll keep him though. I think he's a good talent. I think he's shown flashes of why he's worth he could be worth to us the amount that we have been quoted to pay for him. I think he'll want to stay. He seems to have I mean, obviously talking about he's been in and about those post-match celebrations with the best of them. And yeah, I think we'll probably keep him, and I would hope we keep him because I think that he'll continue. He's another player that'll
Yeah, he's
continue
got
to
a
be
good
better,
attitude, really good attitude as well.
and he
So,
does have a top
yeah.
class attitude.
Mm.
Well, I agree.
So, I think we need two left-sided defenders as a left-sided. So, I think it's probably time for Davies to walk off into the sunset with that trophy. Um, the last few games, I think he's been fairly poor. I do really like Davis though, and I think he's been sort of underrated for most of his career, and he's given the club so much. And it's not trying to force him out, but I think it's that we just need to have someone that can come in for Mickey, because Champions League and Premier League, he cannot play more than one game a week. No way can anyone let that happen. And I don't know which game, I don't know which competition you play him in. But we need someone that can come in and sort of do a job. Whether that's Vuskovic, I would doubt it being his age. I doubt he'd be able to come in and do a job like that quickly. And I do think we need someone to rotate, like Spence and Porro one side, and then Udogie and whoever on the left. And then we need a 6. And then I think we need another attacking player. So that's 4 I think we definitely need, but we could probably do a 5. How many do you think we need?
I think we definitely. I agree with you on the two defenders. I could see us foregoing a wingback, because and just having Spence back up both. But then that kind of gets you into trouble if you get an injury.
One injury.
So I would hope we get 2. I definitely agree about seeing another left-sided center back, because I don't think either of our current backup center backs, Dragusin or Danso, prefer playing on that side. And
yeah, Dragusin could be our 5th centre back option. Danso back up Romero if he sticks around. Obviously, I think this conversation is Romero staying in this conversation, because it would change pretty much everything if Romero left.
I think if Romero leaves, though, I think that there's a pretty obvious available player that I think we could probably outspend most clubs on who want him.
Yeah, maybe not Newcastle. Maybe not if they get Champions League. They might want.
Yeah, but
are you talking about Gay? Is that who you're talking about?
I'm talking about Gay.
Yeah.
I think Tottenham, because we threw in a pretty lucrative bid for him in January.
There was a reported 90 million.
I can't believe they turned that down with 18 months left on his contract. Insane. Which means it must not have happened.
He won the FA Cup with them.
He did win the FA Cup, but
probably worth it for them. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be. I don't think he'll be necessarily a. I think he's the player we would be able to acquire if we wanted him, and if Romero left. But it would require Romero to leave, and I don't know. I just don't. Unless, like I said, unless I'm keeping the same stance I had before, and I didn't know that we had won the Europa League. I don't think we'd get rid of him unless Atletico Madrid pay over the odds for him, and I don't know if they have the financial capability to do so.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be that no one can buy him anyway, because especially winning the Europa, like his value just they put another couple of, well, definitely another 0, not 0, but like he went up about 20 mil probably from just winning that. Gray in the midfield. I think he will play their majority next year if we secure the back line.
Poor guy.
I don't think he'll be our starting one, just because of what we've seen.
Yeah.
He hasn't had the chance to learn the position yet because of what's happened with injuries this year. So
think he needs to
maybe
learn.
2 years time he might be the starter.
I think his body needs to fill out a little bit as well. Like I think he needs to bulk up a little bit, because
he's not quite as strong as Bergvall, and he's not quite as strong as him.
And that's something that I'm not worried about. But
no,
it's just something that'll take time.
And again, we're going to have to rotate because we've got 2 major competitions that we're in now. So they're going to have to be lots of guys playing lots of minutes. So he'll play heaps, and left-sided, I think we do need to bring in a left back. And for me, I think actually with Liverpool pretty much securing, am I saying Kirkes? Is that right? Is that what his name is?
Kirkes, I think. Did they? I thought that they basically signed Frimpong for the right.
Isn't he right, saying? And then
he is. I guess they're replacing Robertson. I haven't been following much of Liverpool's transfer.
So he might be gone, and then I don't know. But Ait Nori from Wolves.
That is a player that I do like the look of. I haven't looked too much into left backs. Left back, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that was like a kind of, because we have
we'll see what happens,
potential cover, and we have such a good player at the start. I would not be surprised if the left back and maybe even central center back or left side of center back are 2 players on the younger side that are maybe like a year
it's like
away
opportunity ones, like the club we're talking to someone, they're like, we can do a deal on this guy. I'm like, oh yeah, didn't expect that. Let's
like a
sort of thing.
almost like a Bergvall type player, I think.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
or
I'd be
like a
happy with that
Destiny
too. I'd be happy with
is
that.
kind of what I think will happen. I
It would make sense too because I'd be happy playing that learning role behind
Yeah,
these
exactly.
guys and knowing they're going to get minutes as well.
That's
So
kind
we
of gonna
can probably
be how I create the I guess the net that I cast for making these suggestions when I've actually had time to think about it. I think that
yeah.
those two will be younger. I think I'll probably look at Cardoso and then a more experienced six because I think that that's kind of the rumor that's coming out of the club is we're looking for a I think the word is with experience, an experienced central midfielder.
The only one I can
So
really think of is like Polina from Bayern. You might be able to. He's still got a house in London. Um,
it wouldn't be the
so
worst.
yeah. I mean, what let's talk about Eze though. We didn't really touch
We did not because
on him.
this is
So
I think that getting like an attacking midfielder who can play every week is critical.
surely everyone wants him though.
Everybody
Surely
wants
it's
him.
and everyone wants him, and he's actually interesting in where he would like how he plays in the Tottenham system because he wouldn't play as a winger. I don't think.
He would
I
definitely
think he'd be more plays as
play
10.
as the 10.
Madison's staying. Actually, Cool is an interesting one. I think he'll probably stay.
Kula will stay. He's another one that provides competition on that wing, though.
Yeah, but and so does Eze. So it's kind of good to have that sort of Eze can play the wing if he would need
Yes,
to. Just like Kulu can play the 10 if he needs to. I actually prefer Kulu on the right than I do in the middle.
I
I
think
think
that's kind of I would agree with that,
yeah,
especially
his
maybe it's just because
outlet
he
on the
wasn't
right's
healthy,
really good. His
but
outlet to
yeah,
get the way he gets us out of sort of carries the ball at the field when he's out in the wing is really good. So yeah, Eze would be amazing, but I'd also really like to see Mbeumo come in, and I don't think we couldn't do either of them. We couldn't do both. Sorry, I don't think.
I think I would heavy prioritize having a backup number 10 in my opinion because I think
Is
it's
that
going to be
because of
him.
what's just happened though? With
Yes,
us,
no, yes,
yeah,
it is exactly because of what's just happened, but it's because
mm,
it's happened last season too, and it happened every other season. It's happened the last like 3 or 4 seasons that Madison's been a player, is that he's
yeah,
had significant time missed. And similar to Richarlison, I think if you're the club and you've seen kind of how catastrophic these injury crises can be, I think you want to do as much as you can to move away from that. And I think that I think the way to do that is to bring in a player to compete with Madison for place. Maybe not start immediately, but definitely over the next few seasons. The player that I think that we'll probably go for because he needs to be sold at a discount because of the financial situation their club is in, is I think that Rayan Cherki is going to be he's going to be a hot commodity, but he's going to be cheap
yeah.
comparatively to a player of his caliber. He's young, so
His creation is insane.
it is yes,
Insane. Um, he doesn't look like he can play football though. Do you know what I mean? Like
it
you photo of him, you're just like, nah. You look like you're just, I don't know, haven't had a shower in a couple of weeks. Um, but he can play football. That's
you
definitely
can.
true. I wouldn't be surprised. That's what I mean. There's actually a lot of options for us. It feels like the market's a buyer's market at the moment. But
I
Palace
think the
with
market's
Eze,
always a
about
buyer's
yeah,
market for us now, just because of the financial disparity between the leagues. But
yeah.
we'll take it.
The Eze one's interesting though because it's going to be such a hard deal to do with so many people wanting him. Them just getting the European football. Also, they have Gay, Wharton, Mateta,
Wharton's another player I would
Munoz, who are all
love
good
to have.
players, and that they could all be bought. And if they sell Gay for a ridiculous fee or as they don't have to sell anyone else. They can just keep the rest of their squad together. I'd be very surprised if Wharton, being his age, did move on. I was always like, I'd really like to see him come into Spurs, but I just don't see it as a possibility because they've got so many players that people probably want and they don't need to sell them because of what's just happened for their club. So
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if no one can put a finger on Eze this summer.
yeah,
And
I won't be surprised
if he
either.
does stay, I would be upset if he went to a different club, but I don't
Yeah,
think I could bring myself to be upset if
it's us or
he
Palace. It's us or Palace.
yeah,
It has to
exactly,
be.
exactly. Because I do think I do like the concept of a player staying with a club that like they kind of made their name with,
Yeah, but the
like
Zaha did it, and
hypothetically.
that seemed like he wasted a bit of his career, Zaha.
Yeah,
But he also
but I mean
seemed like
he's
he
a
wasn't that.
legend for them still. Like,
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I don't know, it depends on what you
Mhm.
define as wasting a career. Because then he went to Galatasaray and won
Yeah, true. Yeah.
nothing,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I
That's
don't know.
fair. Yeah.
I think it's I like those kind of stories. Sue me.
Mm. No, no, no. I'm with you. With you, sure. I'd love to see him play. I think he seems very coys as well.
He does.
Like he does. Like he. I don't. Why has he been at games? Why has he been at our home games? Do
I
you have any idea?
could not tell you.
There's been a couple of
He
times he's been in a box at our home games. Nothing to do with
Because
Palace
we
at
have
all.
a pre-agreement with him, don't worry. We have a gentleman's agreement. Those always
Yeah.
work out.
Yeah. Yeah. What
Okay.
do you? Are you gonna say is Harry gonna come back?
No,
No, he's not, is he?
no, no. He won't come back until he's decrepit, if he comes back at all. And if he does, we'll take him, and then I'll make we as a fan base need to give him a little bit of stick for not being there for the trophy.
Well,
The
I wonder how he feels about this, like us winning a trophy and he lifting the curse. The Harry Kane curse was lifted by Bayern Munich, and then the floodgates is open, and Sonny is now, in my opinion,
Oh, I think pretty
mm,
objectively
yeah,
the bigger Spurs legend.
which is interesting because Harry Kane's an academy player, but I don't think it's just Sonny winning the trophy and his playing contribution over the last 9 seasons he's been with us. I
Mhm.
think it is now. Um, it's also his personality.
He
Like
just
he
is
is,
Tottenham.
yeah,
Even though he's not an academy kid, he is Tottenham. Like,
yeah.
he was the player to hitch his wagon for the long haul when we were crashing and burning. He signed a contract that I think at the time most people thought he shouldn't have signed. Honestly, for a little bit, myself included, because we looked terrible. And now he stayed here when Kane left. He's never tried to push his way out. He's shown nothing but love for the club, and now the first. He's the first. I think what was it? First South Korean to lift a. He's the
European
first South
trophy, yeah.
Korean captain to win a
Captain,
European
yeah.
trophy.
Do you know what? The whole time you were talking then, I couldn't hear you because all I could see in my mind was him at the final whistle. It was just that
It's
playing on
so
repeat,
good.
and his him and Madison hugging. I wonder that was a nice moment too. That was, yeah, Sonny, just what a man, really. What an ambassador for Spurs, but also for South Korea as well. Like you couldn't ask for a sort of better person to, other than the pop stars that Korea have. Sonny's got to be up there with the most famous Korean. And to have someone like him be the, I don't know what's the word for that I'm looking for,
Ambassador?
the, yeah, ambassador, and just the shining light in your, it just makes, I love all South Koreans because of him. Every single one of them is a great person in my eyes. They're all fun. Do you remember this is literally one of the best moments of that whole Amazon documentary, was there was a Korean guy that came
Yeah.
over and he stood on the side of the road bound to
Yep.
every car. He's like, I just want all the fans of Sonny to know that where he's from, they're nice people. What a good guy. Like it's just, and like him and Sonny have just made me think that all South Koreans are just the greatest people ever, which is what you want from an ambassador, isn't it?
Definitely, definitely.
Mm.
He's been just he's been the perfect ambassador for, like, I guess, South Koreans, but he's also been, like, I think the perfect ambassador for Tottenham as a club, because I know that there are
Yeah.
plenty of people who are Tottenham fans because they know of Son, and they're like,
Also,
he's
just the way he's treated by the rest of the league, the players, like Salah and Van Dijk and all them sort of commenting on pictures and stuff, and the way he seems like to have a relationship with nearly everyone in the league. He's hugging them after the game, stuff like that. It's a very unique trait to be that gregarious and um, sort of able to have everyone love you just for being yourself. And yeah, I couldn't speak highly enough of Son, just like every other Spurs fan. And I don't care if he's getting into his 30s and he's on his downward trap. I'm happy for him to be here for 2 more years, and just even if it's just to get a paycheck, I don't care. I would never force. Son can leave when Son wants to leave. That's pretty much it. He's Ledley King 2.0. He can stay and be an ambassador for the rest of it. Now you can answer Michael's question.
I was actually gonna pose this question to you. So he says
Okay.
3 good players, and he lists 4 players, 4 roles: left back, central defensive midfielder, striker, and a 10. So I'm gonna say you get to pick 3 of those roles to fill. Only
Yep.
3 of them. And then, after you pick that, then you can pick our position in the league. That being said, I will acknowledge picking position in the league may be a bit hard to do with teams like Tottenham.
Also, can we do no injuries, no major injuries in this
Yeah,
scenario?
obviously.
Yeah.
And I know just to Michael, I know you're being conservative here, but I just think it's an interesting to, like, see, like, what we should prioritize. I actually, instead of picking the 4, rank them 1 to 4. There's 4 situations, and
For
we'll say pick 3 of
positions,
them. Yeah.
another midfielder, a deep lying one, I think is number 1. A 10, number 2. A left-sided centre back, number 3. And I think we'll go 4. I think we have to do at least 4
Okay.
decent players. And then a striker. Or actually, I don't know if striker's that important. Another attacker, I would say, because of how our system works to get the right winger so many goals. Maybe we could sort of make up for it with that, but yeah, and I'll say another attacker instead of a striker, but most likely a striker. So say we get all those in, I think we will finish 4th in the league, and I'm going to say we'll get out of the league stage of the Champions League, and then it's the cup competition. So it's just a roll the dice for some games, really, isn't it? In the Champions League.
Yep.
So I'm saying 4th and out of I'll say quarterfinals of the Champions League, and win the FA Cup.
Of course, gotta win something.
Got to win something. I nearly went off without saying win something then, but now we're a winning club. Now we win trophies, boys.
Yeah, it was basically guaranteed at this point. I think I'm trying to think. I think that our most necessary position is the 6. I think that that's
Mhm.
kind of been obvious from, like, the way that we played this
Yeah.
season. I think yeah, I think 6 is definitely the place we need to upgrade on the most directly. Um,
Yeah.
I think the second one, I'm gonna go with the 10, just because I think that the way that we play, even when we have Kulusevski there, it's just so different from the way that when we have a player like Madison. Madison
Yeah.
just lets us unlock teams in a way that we can't do without him, and we cannot have that when it's a player that has the injury record of Madison. So
Mhm.
I think having that ability to unlock a team is something that we really, really need. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
go with the 10 second. Third, I'm gonna go with the striker for the same reason. Um, Also because I think that Richarlison will leave,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. I was sort of weighing up that in my head. Was I doing it picking on Richarlison leaving or not? So, but yeah, I'm with you. Sorry, keep going.
yeah, I think Richarlison leaving. Uh, Honestly, if Richarlison leaves, a backup striker might be the second biggest one. But I'm sticking with my guns on the needing a number 10, partially because I hope we spend more money on it, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Um,
Well,
I
how much will
think
they cost?
too much.
70?
70, 80. I don't know. I don't know how many
Mm.
years he has left on his deal. That probably has a pretty big bearing on it. Obviously,
Yeah,
the
it'd
price
be
went up.
worse. I'd be, and I think the club can spend that much money on him.
Yeah, I mean, we can
Yeah.
if we want to.
Mm.
It's just,
Mm.
do we think that it's worth it over
Well, we've been
players like
spending
Shaqiri?
60 million on a player
I think every season,
nearly,
yeah,
well, every season.
every
Like we did
window, yeah,
Solanke, Richie, and then I mean Brennan wasn't far off.
childish.
Yeah, so it's not. Yeah, like that's why the narrative of we don't spend any money is annoying as well because we clearly do spend
We
money.
have been spending money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I think we'll the reason I just hope I want us to pick a player that will overtake Madison sooner rather than later. And I don't think we necessarily need a player to overtake Solanke at the same rate.
yeah, that's
So I
fair.
think it is
Yeah.
fine to get like obviously not free, but like a free transfer like David. Um,
Hmm.
or I don't know any of the other cheaper options. that's a buzzword for you Tottenham fans.
A cheaper
I don't
option
know any
than
of the
a
cheaper options.
free transfer.
No, I'm saying, like, I don't know
No.
other of, like, the not
Yeah, I know what you
bargain
mean.
options, but,
Yeah,
like, the players that aren't the Gyökereses of the world, because
yeah. Well, the
we don't
striker
need to
market's
spend that money.
pretty. It's just going to be.
Weird.
It's just always inflated because it's the hardest thing to do, and a lot of teams need strikers as well. So that's why it's going to be hard to get something like that in. But what about Mason Melia? He's coming in, and will he do a Marky Moore season where he stays around for a year, then goes out on loan? Because I think Marky Moore's
I
going on loan, surely.
Yeah, I think Moore will go on loan. I think I can see him staying around for a year,
Mm.
learning the system and stuff. I could also see him going out on loan, which is a really good way of saying I don't know. It kind
Yeah,
of just
yeah,
depends on how what they think about him. I think generally speaking, based on the way that I've seen Tottenham handle transfers like that, that'll stay for at least a year. Because we
yeah,
did something
yeah,
similar with Lancashire because we bought him from West Ham's academy a few years
yeah,
ago, and
yeah.
he's
Yeah.
been kicking
Well, he
around.
seems to be sort of under the impression that he'll be involved in the first team, which makes sense. I think Lancashire's still talking about strikers. I think Lancashire's still a little bit away. I just don't,
Yeah,
he
I
doesn't
think
seem to have the aerobic capacity to do what Slanky does, even close to doing it. Let alone the experience of it all as well.
yeah,
Um,
I think I think another championship loan is probably on the
yeah,
cards for him, and I
yeah. What
think he'll
about
do well there,
Scarlett?
hopefully. I don't know
What
what
about
to do
Dan
with
Scarlett?
Scarlett. I think
He'd be a good third choice if we can bring someone like Jonathan David in. He'd be
yeah,
a third one to have around.
I would yeah, because he's shown when he plays with us that he can make things
He's had
happen.
moments, yeah. He's had moments
I
for
mean, yeah,
sure.
obviously he scored the first of the 3 goals with Elfsborg.
Who was
Curious
it
to
he got a
see
flick
what
on against to Kowloon? Who was that we were playing against?
it
We
was.
got headbutt in the back of the head.
Yeah, that was that no, that wasn't the preseason. When was that?
Was it?
I kind
Was it?
of
Yeah, because he came back from his loan. Ah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Um,
I've kind of put everything that wasn't the Europa League completely out
yeah,
of my mind at
yeah,
the moment.
yeah. But yeah,
Um,
Timo Werner leaving frees up. We can spend his salary basically on Eze.
yeah,
I'd say like that wouldn't be too dissimilar because his salary is so inflated by Chelsea. Is this still the same contract?
I think so.
Yeah,
I know he gets a lot. I don't know if it's the same as the Chelsea contract or if he signed a new deal um at Leipzig, but I know that he makes an ungodly amount of money
yeah,
for having
yeah.
not played in the second half of the season and
I don't
doing.
begrudge those guys though. Like, I mean, even Regulon for like he's celebrating pretty hard this Europa League win, but like
Oh
he
yeah,
played on the weekend to make sure that Destiny was fit for the final. So
yeah.
he contributed in a way, and like just yeah, he can have it. I'll just answer Milton's question. I am not far out of Melbourne, Milton.
Oh, Sydney. If I'm
He was
have
just
my
asking if I was from
Australian,
Sydney.
I did
Yeah,
see that,
yeah.
and I need to get better on my Australian geography. But okay, where was I? Oh yeah, where I think we'll finish. I think we will. I would be disappointed if we're not in the 4 to 6 range. Um, I think that that's kind of a reasonable expectation for us. I think that we will make a good account of ourselves in the Champions League. I think we'll make it out of the group stage. I um I don't know how much that I don't know how much further than that will get. I think round of 16 is probably a good place to aim for. Maybe quarterfinals with a favorable draw.
Because we're still
Um,
a young team. We're still a young team. It's a big step into
yes,
some
what
of
we
those
shouldn't
teams.
do is expect this have this kind of stunt our growth and kind of start expecting to win trophies every season. If we
Mhm.
win trophies every season, fantastic. I'm not going to say we shouldn't try to do that because obviously that's the goal of every season. But I do think that we are kind of this year was a this year last year we've talked about the painful rebuild for a while, but we've been kind of going through that, and I think that this was the first year that we've really transitioned from that old guard late
Absolutely, yeah.
Poch Mourinho era
Mm.
players to this new crop of young talent of the Sars, the Bergvalls, the Udogis
Yeah,
of
yeah.
our team, and having those players be kind of the focal point, and that they'll continue to get better, but they're not hitting their peak next season. They're not even hitting their peak the season after that. Like, they're just gonna continue to get better and better and better.
Imagine how good a doggy's going to be
Oh
in
my
like 5
gosh.
years' time.
Imagine how good Bearval is gonna be.
Oh, mate, he.
The Sar, Bearval, Gray midfield in 3 years.
This is why I feel like we're at that perfect position to really take it to the next level with Sean's working up. Yeah.
Good morning, Sean.
um, take it to the next level with bringing in a couple of experienced guys because you're right. The old guard left: Hoiberg, Lloris, Eric Dyer, Harry Kane, like all these players, and also on big wages as well, which obviously clearly explains why our
Oh, that's a good
ratios
point.
of spends come down. But yeah, if we can bring in a couple of guys just to sort of be those experienced guys with the experience that our young guys have now had as well, it's going to be. We've got a chance to really sort of push this forward, and the group's way more dynamic as well. With the reason I say that is because I just think, like, look across to Arsenal, they just have a team of centre backs basically.
Don't forget the defensive midfielders.
Oh yeah, sorry,
Got
defensive
plenty of
midfielders
those.
and centre backs. Yeah, where we're sort of spread across the whole field with exciting young talent across the whole thing, and we just need to put a few more sort of places in there and keep Andrew around clearly because that motivates people. That he can motivate people to do it.
You
So
can.
I do feel I actually what I'm really interested in next season is who sort of, because I feel like if we bring in some players, we can sort of start to balance out that, like, I think it doesn't work to have two teams to play in different cups. You need to sort of merge them together and like you play like 2 games in a row, then you miss a game, and then another person plays 2 games in a row, staggered sort of thing, to sort of keep that chemistry going. But it will be interesting to see where the chips fall and where like this year we were focused on the Europa League, and will there be one that comes out next season that we I don't know what that was. Did you hear that?
I did, I think. It sounded like a
Right
cat
behind me,
stepping
but nothing
on
fell down. Yeah.
tinfoil.
Um, the who's like where those chips falls and who we end up sort of what we end up focusing on and all those kind of things. Like it's just really exciting times, and like I don't. This is other clubs suck. That's all I think. Other clubs are terrible. Why would you support any other club than Spurs? If you support another club, come on over here. It's way more fun over here.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how we kind of balance out the need for experience that Anne just talked
Yeah,
about and the things, and how like I said, the kind of um the kind of broad structure of the way that we've been buying players, how that kind of balances with our kind of timeline. Because I do think that we'll talk about this more later because we've already been going for like an hour and a half.
yeah.
Feels like it's been like 15 minutes, but I guess that's
Mm,
what it feels like when you win a trophy. Um, but I think it'll be interesting to balance that kind of like experience, the necessary experience, I think, with the want to buy players that will continue to improve, to buy players in their primes, etc.
yeah,
Also
yeah.
because those kind of players are more expensive.
Imagine if we're the first player that we buy is a young player. Geez, some people are going to spin out, aren't they?
I mean, it could be Cardoso because I think that we have to activate that if we do end up going for him, which I
Yeah.
kind of hope we do.
How old is he?
Early
Early
20s.
20s. Yeah.
I think he's like 23. So honestly, compared to the rest of our team, an experienced player.
Old. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but he could be our first like player. He is 23. Um, but I think that's why I think if we buy him, I think we might also get um another more experienced midfielder. Um,
Yeah.
I
I kind
think
of wouldn't mind seeing. Sorry, you finish your
I was
thought.
gonna say I think we'll get an experienced midfielder. I think we'll get an experienced backup nine. Um, I think we could go experience in I think we'll probably go if we buy one. I think we'll go youth slash younger on the 10, just because I think we have experience in Madison at that point in that position already, and we don't
Yeah.
need too much of it. And I
Well,
think
then could Jamie Donnelly come in?
that's a good discussion, and I think that's one we'll kind of
Another
see the
day,
answer
that one. Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say
Yeah.
we'll see the answer to later. I did see his name mentioned by Michael. And I think he's a good player that could come in and kind of learn, but I can also see the appeal of him going out on another like a bigger loan, if that makes sense. Um, so I think that I think we'll go for experience in the midfield. I think we'll go for experience up front, and I think we'll go for younger in at that 10 role, and then also potentially maybe a wing back, but we could also go experience there. Um,
Mm. I
and
wouldn't mind
also maybe an
seeing an actual.
experienced center back. I think
I
that
wouldn't
might
mind
be
seeing an older guy come in. Some at
the
some
only thing that
position.
keeps me from wanting to bring an older guy in at left back specifically is that position is just so physically demanding that
Yeah.
you
Oh,
kind
no,
of
probably not
want.
there, but
Yeah.
um,
I
I
think
mean,
the
I've said,
important places for experience is in the spine.
yeah, yeah.
So which is
It'd
why I
probably be
think,
that centre back sort of spot might
yeah,
be
I
worth
think an
bringing in a.
experienced center back, an experienced number 6 potentially, if on top of Cardoso. Um, I would agree with this. I think Young
Yeah,
probably goes on another loan. I
promising
watched a
though at
couple of his
QPR.
games.
Promising.
He's
Yeah,
looked good. He's scored a couple like of pretty decent goals and created a
yeah,
couple more from what I remember.
yeah.
But
So
yeah,
when you go through these, it's actually funny that there's so many young players that are like right on that precipice.
yeah.
I've been like, should they be in the squad? Is another loan going to work out? Like Donnelly, Keeley, what's going to happen with Ash Phillips, Vuskovic coming in? Yeah, there's a lot of them. Yang's obviously one too. Um, it's going to be very interesting to see how they played those ones. Yeah, but Sean, I'm with you on the right wing. I do feel like we need someone to put pressure on. I would really like to see Mbuemo come in. Um, Sean the Grinder Slayer has said that we need more backup on the right wing.
Or is he talking about Mikey Moore being back up on the right wing?
Oh, more backup. um,
Yeah,
and
I do think that the preseason will be interesting. That'll kind of give us like a pretty good view into what we think our squad's gonna look like next season. Yeah.
with the preseason tour.
Don't we have a quick
If
another quick turnaround game after the end of the season?
I
Am I
so I was
remembering
going to
that
say,
correctly?
can you like and subscribe to the channel, please? Because then Jim might pay for me to go to South Korea and do some content in that
Ooh,
game.
you should do that.
This I'm making this completely up, but we should start a community of Get Joe to Korea.
Yes.
Um,
We'll truly go for
Sean
that
Sean
global
has also
Spurs challenge.
said,
Okay, yeah.
when do you expect a big decision on Ange? Sean Hill said this one.
I don't think there's gonna be one. I think it's
I
just gonna
think it's
kind of
been
be.
made. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's
I
made.
think it's just gonna not be sacked at any point.
Yeah.
Um, I guess that I might be proven to be wrong, but I don't think I will be. I think it's hard to
Mm.
fire a manager after winning a trophy, especially at Tottenham. And I
He also
think,
came fifth in his first season.
yeah, I think that I think you can point to the kind of like I said earlier. I think you can kind of point to the like motivations for like not caring as much in the league. Um, and kind of use that as a shield. And obviously, if we start next season and we're like 14th, then after 15 games, then it's hard to make an argument that he continues. But I think until then, I think we've kind of said since the beginning the only way he keeps his job is if he wins the Europa League, and then he won the
And
Europa
he
League.
did it.
So kind of
I
feels
can't
like
believe we did it. I can't believe
I know
again just
I
hit me
can't either.
again. It just yeah.
Oh man,
So proud. So proud.
think talking about winning the Europa League one more time is probably a good place to end it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm
Thank
with you
you
on
for
that one.
this. Thank you for joining us in this international version. Oh, can't end it
Oh
yet.
yeah, Sean, yeah.
Sean is getting you started on your Korea
Yeah,
phone,
thanks, Sean. What a
winning
man. What a man you are.
another trophy of whatever the preseason trophies we win next. Now we don't have to pretend like the Audi Cup or the Papa John's trophy or the whatever trophy we won against our real ones, and then other teams make fun of us for doing trophy lists for it because we can just post our Europa League trophy
Have you
pictures.
seen that image of all of our trophies together that the Tottenham
It's
posted?
a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. Like you
That's why
forget.
that's why it's never made sense, like, the whole, like, banter thing, and that's why I think that's why I'm so convinced that the whole, like, thing is that it's so, like, not real about like, it's so, like, based on, like, Arsenal being good when media got big, is that before the 2010s, we had won it was us and United who had won a trophy in every decade for the past since, like,
Yeah,
1960 or something like that.
yeah, yeah.
So, I don't
We
know how
have.
you can take that club and say that they don't win anything ever.
Mhm. And when we stopped winning things was coincided with some dodgy money coming into the league. But that's when
Yep.
everyone else stopped winning things too.
Exactly, and it's yeah, like, we don't I don't know, I don't want whatever, we won now, so it's done. Narrative dead. We win.
Oh, Sean meant Super Cup by the SC, and
Ah,
which I've never paid attention to ever before. Not once. I forgot it
now it's
existed.
now it's now it's the
The most,
real
yeah,
champions of Europe, I think.
yeah.
I think if the Europa League winners pull that one out, then they're champions of Europe. They already
Who
are
would you rather
champions of
play?
Europe.
I'd rather play PSG because I really like watching PSG play.
I like watching PSG play, and that's why I'd rather play Inter.
Yeah, I mean that part of it too, but I kind of don't really care. It'd be fun to win another cup, but because only two teams can be in it, to me, it's not really a
Yeah.
huge one to win. Other people can have opinions. I'm not sort
It's
of
not a huge
going
one
to
to
die
win
on a
unless
hill
we
on
win
that
it.
one. Yeah, exactly. But um, I just like, yeah, I really like watching PSG play, and I kind of hope they beat Inter. So it'd be
Yeah.
fun to have that game. But this is where we are now, worrying about who we're going to play in the Super Cup, not
Not worried
who
about
we're going
qualifying for the Champions League. Got that in the bag.
to. Mhm.
Not worried about winning our game at the weekend to get in, because there are some teams that have had way better seasons than us that still need to win to
Mm.
get Champions League next season. And
Spent
then you got us.
96% of their revenue to maybe come seventh.
We'll see.
Who do you think? Let's tell me who's gonna finish top. Who's gonna get Champions League?
I think Villa will almost guaranteed get it because I think that that United team is crushed at the moment.
Yes, yes, I
I
agree.
think
They
that they
will win this
pretty
game.
much guaranteed to win. Who else is there? I don't even know the fixtures for the last weekend. I've been paying attention for the league in a while. I'm gonna back Nottingham Forest to beat Chelsea and knock them out of Champions League places. Not
That'd be
because I
good.
think that'll happen, because it'd be really funny if it did.
Aston Villa really annoyed me this last 2 years, so I don't want them to do it. But I think they will smash United. Um, so I'd rather
Yeah.
see Forest in there. I guess I've been more annoyed with those teams this year because of our league position and the way these clubs have had. That's why I'm annoyed by Aston Villa. They got relegated recently, and
Yeah.
now they're acting like they're a bigger club than us, which annoys me. Um, or they're just like a better team. They do really remind me though of us under Poch. Um, so maybe they're going to go the same trajectory and drop off in a couple of years and maybe win something, but. Um,
They'll win
I don't
the
really care.
championship. They'll
Yeah,
they'll they'll get promoted from the championship again.
yeah. Predictions for Brighton. I'm going to go 4-0 Brighton. Uh, and no one cares, and there's a party the whole time.
Singing
Uh,
Champions of Europe, you'll never sing that for 90 minutes, baby.
yeah, yeah. And then say Brighton, give us one. And they
Yep.
score 5, and it's 5-0.
I think
And then we do a lap
I'm
of
gonna go
honour.
4-1. I
Cool.
think I think I think we get a goal from a younger player. I'm not gonna say who, but a player under the age of 22, which honestly
It's
isn't
going to
even that
score.
big of a. I'll you know what? I'll tie it to.
Tell us on
I
it.
think Tell scores and then signs
Mhm.
his contract at midfield as a celebration.
That celebration discuss this.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone get onto him. Everyone bombard Tell with if you score, do a.
Do a signing celebration. That would be great. I do really want him to come back. So yeah, I think that that probably just about covers everything that could possibly be talked about surrounding Tottenham. We'll have more sort of in-depth, focused preseason talk once we get to like the end of the season and the preseason truly begins, and we know exactly what's happening in terms of like players coming back from loans. But until then, Everyone, don't forget to enjoy that we just won a European trophy. That we win things, and that I don't know. Yeah, just enjoy it. Enjoy it while you can, because these moments don't come around often. Just ask anyone who supported this club for the last 40 years. You know,
Come on, you Spurs.
come on, you Spurs. Have a good one, y'all.
Bye.